Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Well, we're getting close to the end of the series, and most of the stories I've been telling up to this point have been, kind of serious, kind of dangerous. But this story is one that I think we'll all be able to understand exactly what's going on. Today we're going to talk about the grossest apartment I ever saw. Now, I've been in the business by myself, and I've worked for an apartment business now for probably off and on for 30 years. So I've seen a lot. I thought I had seen just about everything. We have found dead bodies in apartments. We have found all kinds of valuables in apartments. We have found drug stuff. You name it, we've seen it. But the grossest apartment that I ever saw was when I was in business for myself back in the 80s. And I've had to do a couple of stories on this building. I think I said in the last video that this particular building, I think, was inhabited by evil. I really do. Because this story is about an apartment in that building. Okay, so I buy the building, and we're going over the leases, me and the guy that's selling it to me. And we come to this one, and he says, I rented this to this couple a year ago. He said, and their check arrives in the mail right on time. I've never had a phone call. He said, I've never seen them since they moved in. I don't know anything about them other than what's on the application. So I looked on the application. It was a couple, a man and a woman. They were from the country of India, and they were both doctors. Okay, so I understood perfectly why the previous owner hadn't gone up and knocked on the door to do a welfare check. You're getting paid. Obviously everything's going all right. So I got it. So I said, cool, that's a perfect tenant. I never hear from them. I never see from them. The rent arrives all the time, right on time. Cool. So we go through, we have all the trauma from other apartments in the complex. Nothing from them. And they're right on time. Their checks just keep coming. So one day, I get a little note in the mail from them, and they say, we want to give you our 30-day notice. We are leaving. I think they were lecturing doctors, like they travel all over the country lecturing. But anyway, so I said, okay. So they gave me the date they were going to leave. So I went over the next day with my keys. Oh, brother. So I unlocked the front door. And as I opened the door, I saw something fall from the ceiling, and it hit my arm. And I didn't know what it was. It could have been anything. It was a little, compacted ball of roaches, cockroaches, falling from the ceiling on my arm. So I threw the door open, and to my surprise, now remember, these apartments are about 12 to 1,500 square feet, so they're good sized apartments. Now, as you walked in, there was a living room, and the living room was probably, it was good size, probably 12 by 15. And as I pushed the door open because I was getting resistance, I looked down on the floor, and throughout the entire room, knee deep, were clothes. Not wrapped up in the package clothes, but dirty, used clothes thrown all over the floor, knee deep. And between where I stood and the center of the room, there was like 4 paths. 1, 2, and they all led to the middle of the room. So from the door to the middle of the room, from the middle of the room to the kitchen, from the middle of the room to the couch, and the middle of the room to the TV. And the middle of the room down the hallway. Dang. So as I'm walking across the path, there are millions of roaches just... Now, when you opened the door, I smelled garbage. And it was bad garbage. It was so bad, I wondered if it might have been a dead body. So the first thing we did was went for a window because it stunk to high heaven. And we had to make sure we closed the door behind us so that the stench wouldn't get out in the hallway and we could try to keep the roaches in. Now, in the middle of the circle, in the middle of this room, was an open garbage bag crawling with roaches. And you look on the wall, it was roaches. So you walk around the garbage, you take the path directly to the kitchen. Again, it stunk. The refrigerator, the electricity had been turned off. No, we had light. But the refrigerator had been turned off or unplugged. And it stunk to high heaven. And you pick up something on the sink to move it, and roaches just everywhere. And there was flies, and there was maggots, and there was stink. It was gross. I looked down in the sink. It was dry. There hadn't been water running in that sink in months. And yet roaches were coming up out of the drain pipe because they were going down in the P-trap to get water and then coming back up. So that was the main highway for the cockroaches to get their water. And you looked on the countertop. Now the countertop, it was an old kitchen, and it had steel, countertops and sink and all that. Absolutely covered with garbage, dried garbage. That was the odd thing. There was no wet garbage it was all dry, like they hadn't been there in a year. They probably hadn't. I don't know. But everywhere you looked, there was roaches, there was flies, there was maggots. The refrigerator had maggots in it. The stove, maggots. And if you've never been in a room like that, you immediately start itching, whether they're on you or not. So I walked down the path. Oh, there was a corner of the room that was nothing but garbage, and they had stacked it up in bags, paper bags, of course, so they wouldn't have to take it out and kill the bugs. And I should tell you, I didn't know this at the time, but it is against the, I believe it's the Hindu religion, to kill any living thing, including bugs. So that's why they're not killing these bugs. But I didn't know that at the time. So I turn around and I take the path out of the kitchen, go back to the center of the living room, then take a right and take the path back down the hallway, back towards the side of the kitchen. And all the way through, I mean, when you get to the hallway and the two bedrooms, there were still roaches and flies, but not near as bad. But the clothes got deeper and deeper the further back in the apartment that I got. Now this was a 2-bedroom, and each bedroom was, again, probably the size of the living room, 10 by 12. Oh, bigger than that. That might have been the bedrooms. The living room was probably 12 by 14. Anyway, they were good-sized rooms. By the time I got to the back bedrooms and the bathroom, the clothes were thigh-high, and I'm 6'1". They were 6. So that, what is that, 2 or 3 feet tall? And the one bedroom had no path in it at all. So they stood at the hallway path and threw it in. The main bedroom, the clothes were so deep there was a path to one side of the bed. There was no path to the other side. So they both got in on the same side of the bed, to the path. And there was clothes that were so deep, they went up to level size with the bed. Now remember, they're sleeping in this, with the roaches and the flies and the maggots. And I didn't even know what bed bugs looked like. There was probably bed bugs in there too. I don't know that. I looked in the bathroom, and again, there was no water. The water in the toilet had dried up. There was no water standing in the sink. And again, the roaches were going in and out of the sink P-trap to get the water. So now at this point, I've been in there about 10 or 15 minutes, and periodically, you know, I hear or I see something out of the corner of my eye moving, or it's falling. I feel roaches falling on my clothing. I'm dodging stuff crawling on the floor. The stench of a mixture between dirt, garbage, maggots, flies, and roaches all in the same time and all in the same rooms. It was absolutely gross. So we got the heck out of there, and we had to make a game plan just how to clean that place up. So the first thing we did is we went and got about a half a dozen bombs, and we set them off in there simultaneously. And we did that off and on for a week. Then we went in and we bagged up as many of the clothes as we could, as quickly as we could, and threw them in the dumpster. Then we bombed again. And we repeated until we were done. Then we called an exterminator and had them come out and spray. What we hadn't counted on was between the times the bugs were going into the walls, and now we had to spray the whole building. So every time we had an apartment sprayed, we had to pay to have the entire building sprayed. Good Lord. What a gross mess. We never did recover from that one. I mean, we got it cleaned up. We used a lot of bleach and a lot of exterminator and a lot of money, and changed the carpet and paint and everything in there. We got it rentable. But the next guy was the last guy to rent it because I think he was the plant to the reason that we lost the building in the first place. But that's the story of the grossest apartment I've ever seen, and I've seen them over the period of 30 years. Well, I hope you're enjoying the series. We got one or two more stories to go, and then we'll get back on track. If you like this kind of content, please hit the notification button and the like button and the subscribe button. Not because it helps with monetization now, but it will down the road when I get serious about it. But for right now, for right here, it lets me know that you like this kind of content, and we'll keep it up. You guys have a great day, a great week, and happy investing.